Hello, welcome to the Crafty Maven Getaway podcast. I'm your host, Hannah.
And I'm Megan. Thanks so much for joining us for today's episode. We are continuing on with last week's perfectionism theme.
Yep. So today we are on episode 29 or episode season 2, 4.
Season 2, episode 4. Yep.
So season 2, we're full deep in our new season and our new year. And like you said, we're talking about perfectionism. And so I thought a good way to start today was why, like, what do you feel like you have to prove, or what do you think is the behind the scenes reason why you feel like you have to be perfect in your scrap room?
Well,
Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
I don't know that there's just one reason, it's like multi-layered. There's the showing up for yourself and the fact that you like to do this craft, but then you're also showing up for YouTube and people in the community. And so you want it to be perfect for that. And then if like I'm on a design team, and so it's like I want it to be perfect because it's going to be for the design team and I don't want to let them down, like there's like all of these layers, and I think that that's the issues. It's not just one thing, it's like all of the things stacked on top of each other.
So, but what do you think is the most, the highest on that
The
list?
highest.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely think now it would be myself, like the fact that like I hold myself to this high standard, because honestly, I feel like the people in the community, they just love everything, right? Like
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
not
yeah.
really a lot of people that would be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so ugly," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. We're pretty much,
everybody's so supportive that
yeah.
it's like even if I don't show up on YouTube or Instagram or whatever for a few weeks, like when I come back, like everybody's like, "Oh, I love that," or
Like,
whatever.
hey,
Like,
welcome back.
yeah, like
I know.
it's just business as usual. So
Mhm.
it's like I guess you could say that I'm like the hardest on myself.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty common, right?
Yeah.
For most of us, we kind of build this up, the anxiety essentially up in our heads. Because,
Right.
and then you overthink it, right? You're like,
Yeah.
okay, did I make that too fast? Like sometimes I think about that for my videos because I've watched other people's videos and they're like, oh, I sped it up to 32 times. One, I don't know what that means on their computer, but if I did it on 32 times, my hands, like even as slow as I do,
Yeah.
because like my last video I was working on, because I've been working on Project Life, and it's been taking me a long time to get the things done because I've just been relaxing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was editing it and I was like, well, maybe if I bump it up to 8, because usually I do 4 times, that's plenty fast enough. If I go over 4, it's too much. It's just too
Yeah.
fast. My hands are like bloop, bloop, bloop. And it's hard to find spots to even do the cuts, right? Because like to me, sometimes that's what I overthink is like the cuts, that go, oh, I had something here and I had something there. With that said, I am a lot of the things, and if people who know me, people, I really try to like not like have all those thoughts of like, oh, this has to be exactly perfect, because it's just, that's a lot of stress on myself, and then
Yeah.
it's not fun. So I
Yeah.
really kind of like take it like, I'm like, whatever, it is what it is. Like if I mess up on my page, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I have a page that I'm like, oh, I really did not like that because I did not like this aspect of it. And even the things that I say where, the smushing technique, I really don't like it, but I've done it and the layouts turned out fine. And I'm,
Right.
I think
Right.
it's more of that that need in me to be like, oh, this is frustrating because it's hard. I think
Mhm.
that's where my perfectionism really shows up, is like if it's too hard, and we see this with kids. So it's like I deal with my kids all the time, teenagers. They don't
Yeah.
want to do it because it's too hard. And it's
Yeah.
like, but sometimes things are hard. And so for sure, like I really try not to like pound myself with like, oh, this has to look perfect. But I think for me, it has to look perfect for me. Like I want it to
Yeah.
be right. And it's more on that feeling. Like this doesn't feel like it's done, or this doesn't feel like I did a great job, or I did
Right.
accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. It has more to do with that aspect of it. So I think mine is really nuanced.
Mhm.
Would I call that perfectionism? I don't know.
Mhm.
But I mean, I sat doing my cut file layout for a couple of weeks. It sat and I played
Yeah.
around, not like all the time and stuff. And I will say that's like so not like me. And I think it's because I've been doing so many other things that like it's getting that my brain ready and prepared. So the
Mhm.
thing I've been thinking about this week is like, how do I get my brain prepared to be so I'm in the right spot at my table? Because when does your perfectionism show up? Does it show up like before you get to your desk, when you're at your desk, after you're at your desk and you're re-looking over stuff? Because there's so many aspects, like places in our process, right? That can show.
Right.
Like I know sometimes when I'm editing my layouts, I'll be like, oh man, I should have added this or this or this, or I'll be editing and I'm like, oh, I did something and then I took it away and I'm like, oh, that would have looked so much better. Why didn't I keep it? Didn't feel right. Um, but really, like I almost always fall in love with my layout when I'm looking and editing at the photos and I see the close-ups and I'm like, oh yeah, I really love that part. And that gets me really excited. But I think for some people it's not like that, right? That's the part that they start critiquing. And I get it because I could, we'll see stuff sometimes. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. I so I think it's the everything before. So it's like last week we talked about printing photos and all of
yeah,
that. It's like all of that stuff. That's where the perfection comes in for me. And like, okay, I have to pick the perfect photos. I have to, like have the perfect like a collection and do these photos fit with this collection that I have to use because it's for the design team, like
yeah,
that.
that definitely makes things interesting when you're someone on a team, right? I
Yeah.
remember that a lot. Like there'd be collections that I'd get that I'm like, I would have never bought that stuff. It's like
Yeah.
I can think of one that was like, I'm trying to even think what collection we used, but it was more of a boy themed, but it had a lot of yellows, like bright yellows and
Mhm.
reds and like kind of superhero aspects to it and stuff. I
Yeah.
had a really hard time because it was not stuff I scrap generally. And
Right.
so yeah, I just had a hard time. But with that said, that helps you go outside of your box and kind of like grow and learn.
Yep.
So, and I did some really fun stuff. Like I did a really cool art journal page with it. We had like superhero woman stamps. So that was really fun, an aspect of things. So I think sometimes like those things, like at first it's a challenge because you first see it and it's like, oh, what am I gonna do with this? And then as you get playing, you kind of get some ideas of how to make it you.
Oh
But
yeah.
that can be real. Like I think about, well, I should say I think about when I was first started, but that's not true for me because when I first started, I gave myself permission to just play and learn, and I think
Mhm.
that helped me later on to
Yeah.
not pigeonhole myself so much, even
Right.
though now I definitely can see it now more than I seen it back then, but I think it would have stopped me and I wouldn't have been able to develop the style that I did. But I think for a lot of people, especially when you first start, you don't even know, so you
Right.
stop yourself from doing things that seem like overly complicated or overly whatever. And sometimes it's you see the styles that everybody's doing, right? And you're afraid to try those styles because for whatever reason. I think that's why for me it's so hard when you see things in the industry change, when you see the artists going from like certain color palettes to like a white base versus a cream base, that makes a difference on layouts. Like I'm so glad when we switched more to the white base. But it is really cool to see how other people do it, but that was like a big change from like that grungier, older style look to like all the bright colors now. And when we started going from more flat papers to dimensional stuff, like you see all these hiccups. And I think that can stop you as a scrapbooker. I know there's different things that I'm like, oh, I don't want to use that because I don't like that. And in some ways it's like, oh, that's hard to figure out how to get that to be me.
Right. Yeah.
And I could see for someone who's not on a design team and doesn't do that regularly, that is really tough. That is really tough. And I see that more now that I'm not on teams. I'm not restricted by having to use whatever somebody else tells me to use.
Right.
So, but even when I'm making the kits now, I'm like, okay, what kind of stuff do I want to use? But how do I get us to think outside of the box and use other things that aren't?
Yeah.
And so that's been challenging, and that creates a level of like perfectionism. In a lot of ways, I rethink of like, and I've been thinking about this as I'm making the new kit because I'm going to send it out in a couple of weeks. And for this year, and I'm like, okay, do I want to go more towards this? Because I feel like I'm veering in a direction that is kind of uncomfortable because it's not necessarily all how I scrap. I don't use a lot of other non-traditional scrapbooky stuff, but then in a way I'm like, but this is cool because we can blend more things together and not put ourselves in those boxes. I feel, and that's the hard part, right? That's what perfection is, right? It kind of puts it limits us in a box to where we don't have the ability to grow as much as we could. But it's so hard to get over that. So what do you do just in general to kind of help quelch those thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think recently this year, like spending the time to print stuff off before I know I want to scrapbook, like that's been really helpful. And I know that we kind of talked about that in the last episode.
A bit about that.
But like then also just like with the design team stuff, going in with like, and this is hard, but like no expectations, I guess. Like just like you were saying, just play and have fun, because I made two layouts. They were smaller layouts. I think they were like 5x8 or something like that for my February scrapbooking kit for my design team. And they were like totally not my style because it was smaller, and I love the 12x12 page because it gives me so much space to work with. But like, it was so fun to do it on a smaller scale and to use more embellishments, because I'm like, well, there's not much room to use paper because I love paper and paper is my thing. And so it's like layering paper, and that's usually what my layouts look like with less embellishments. And so like it was so weird to like force myself to use more embellishments, and even then I was like, I don't even think I used that many embellishments on the small page.
When I did your album for your wedding, that was interesting because once again, those were the smaller pages, the thinner pages. And so, and I know the things that I like to do and I kind of wanted to see. And of course, then I'm like picking out through the papers to try to match colors and stuff. And it was fun, but it did take a little bit to kind of get in that mindset. Like, but then once I was in that mindset, I like blew out some other stuff on my desk, just kind of using scraps, doing similar things. I need
Mm-hmm.
that because that video did really good on shorts. Just like I just said, I took scraps from my desk and made a layout, which I did. I didn't even put
Yeah.
a picture on it. I didn't even put a picture on it. So it's like I think sometimes we have to, changing sizes really helps change that mindset and get you thinking about different products. Also,
Right.
doing it differently
Mm-hmm.
to like kind of snap your brain out of that like one
Yeah.
way track. Because I love to do 12 by 12 too.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's my jam. But when you do 12 by 12, you have so much space, the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on like the type of artist that you are, right?
Right.
It's gonna look different. Like what you put on your 12 by 12 is not what I'm gonna put on my 12,
Oh,
right?
yeah, no.
Utilize that space a whole lot differently.
Yep.
And so it's like figuring out. But when you jump to that smaller size or that other size, you kind of have to figure out, like, how am I going to make this part me and keep those elements? And sometimes it looks way different than how you think it's going to look. And that's not bad, right?
No. Yeah.
I think sometimes that gets us out of the perfectionism when we do stuff like that. At least for me.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, okay, let's see. Because I wrote a couple other things. Do you think your perfectionism is rooted out of fear? Or is it like the standards? Like this is what the rules are? Like, is it based out of rules or fear of, I don't know, like yourself, the community, all that kind of stuff?
I mean, I want to say it's probably both. Like, because I do like to follow the scrapbooking rules. And I think on my paper that I left at home, I did write scrapbooking rules on it. So I remember thinking about that. Like, because there are those rules
I know.
that,
Oh my
you're
gosh, I have
supposed
a
to
story for
follow.
that.
Yeah. And so, like, I think that is probably where my perfectionism started, is
Hmm.
probably where. But I mean, I've been scrapbooking for like 20, 30 years. So it's like, I feel like the more that I've learned and understood the rules, like, the more my perfectionism has, like, not necessarily changed, but in a sense changed. So
Yeah.
like now I follow them, but at the same time it's like I kind of just do whatever I want. Like, I like the rule of thirds, because I'm also a photographer, and that's a huge thing. Like, all of my favorite photos follow the rule of thirds,
Yeah. I
you
was trying
know.
to explain that to my husband one time because we were watching something and the whole thing was like the person was right in the middle. And I was like,
That's
I'm like,
so
that looks so
wrong.
bad. They need to just scooch over just a little. He's
Just
like,
a
what are you
little.
talking about? He's like, the pictures are always right. And maybe we were looking at a picture because he got on Google to look at pictures to see if it was right in the middle. And sure enough, it wasn't. And I was trying to explain to him, I'm like, no, this is really not. It's moved over.
Yeah.
It's like, you see how there's 2/3 of a space right here? And oh, let me tell you, when it's like when there's stuff like this, because he'll try to act like you stinking knows stuff. And I think he does it just to get me egged on because he knows I'm
Yeah.
so passionate about it. And I will stick to my guns.
Good for you.
But he's like,
Yeah.
no, they do it right in. I was like, no. I was like, you don't do it in the middle. I was like, it is harder for your eye to focus there.
Yeah. And I mean, there are pictures that look good that way, and like there
Yeah.
are things, but like it's so pleasing to the eye, that rule of,
Yeah.
thirds. So like I like that in a lot of my layouts, but then also like the rule of threes, like
Yeah.
three clusters
Or
and
3 enamel dots or
yeah.
drops
And
of
and then like also like the same one of each embellishment, or in
Yeah.
each cluster. So like if I have a flower in one embellishment
Yeah.
cluster, I'll put it in the other two, like.
Well, and when you don't do that and then you start doing it again, I feel like I notice it and I'm like, oh, that looks really good.
Yeah,
Like it like
right.
hits that itch in your brain that you didn't know you had. That
Yes.
scratchy itchy
Yep.
sweater like
Oh,
thing.
yep.
It's like you just realize you're like, oh, that ease that itch. That ease that itch, you know?
Yeah,
And it
totally.
just makes you so happy.
Mhm.
All because you added like the same motifs like in
Yep.
cluster, but it was a little bit different.
Yep. But it's like, I mean, there will be those layouts that I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that this time, I'm gonna put a flower in this one and I'm gonna put a heart in this one. And it's like,
Yeah.
ooh, I broke the rule, and you're just
Yeah.
like, it's so fun kind of breaking the rules. But like there's a part of me that's like, okay, am I gonna break the rules today or am I gonna be that perfectionist,
Yeah. Well, and I feel like we've gotten a lot better about the breaking the rules. I feel like
Mhm.
probably the newer style scrapbookers probably don't
Yes.
understand the rules as much because we've kind of geared away. I feel like we've geared away. Like
Mhm.
there is a lot of people who use the rules, but I just don't think they're talking about using the rules.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so newer, I say newer, scrapbooking is definitely not about the rules anymore. Like we don't
Right.
we're not like, oh, you got to do the rules. Oh, you got to do the rules. Um, which is really awesome because
Yeah. It's
like,
fun. It makes it
like,
like
yeah,
easy, I guess, in a sense. That's a
right.
good way to put it. Like, because when you feel like, oh, you have to follow these rules, it's like, but I don't want to. Like, why are we making it that way? That's one of those things with perfectionism. Why are we making it harder on ourselves than it needs to be? Why are there rules with scrapbooking?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a hobby. Like,
yeah,
and so I like that's really, I think that's the thing is like, I think you and I kind of grew up, or I definitely grew up knowing the rules and stuff. And then it's like now I'm like, okay, but I don't need them all the time. Like
yeah,
I can just play and have fun. And I think mixed media is also one of those things that kind of helps you not use the rules so much because you just kind of play and have fun.
yeah. Well, and because with mixed media, you don't always know exactly how it's going to turn out,
Yeah.
right? So, like, you might have plans and ideas, and obviously, the more you use mixed media, the more you know how it's going to, like, when I
Right.
do use this with this tool, it's going to kind of turn out this way. So, you have a pretty good prediction rate, of what's going to happen. But in all reality, it's, sometimes that stencil doesn't lift the way that you wanted it to lift. You know,
Right.
sometimes that paint goes where it's gonna go.
Mhm.
There's a technique I've been trying because I seen someone else do it, and I'm pretty sure they did it on a canvas, so it's probably never gonna look the same way. But basically, you take the two colors of paint and you add water on the outside so it washes up and down, so you get like this really good separation. Theirs looks awesome. They've perfected how to do it. And I've tried quite a few times, and
Mhm.
I've had some that turned out really good and a couple that turned out not good at all. Some of it is colors that you use, like, and I think this is hard, like especially in mixed media, if you don't understand the undertone colors, you might think that you're doing something that's going to look good and then you
Yeah.
but anyway, so there's so much unpredictability that I think it's a lend to, kind of breaking those rules just automatically because you start off with not knowing what you're going to get essentially and then building on top of there.
Yeah. Right.
But I think that for sure that's definitely how we've kind of went. And just as a society, I think we've loosened up on rules too. So that's the other aspect of things of how like society kind of um guides how we think. It's like that
Mhm.
goalpost
Yeah.
of like how we're thinking as a society, as a person within society, and how that translates into art, which is kind of cool when you think about it.
Mhm.
We'd like to think maybe we're not as influenced by
Mhm.
society as we would want or whatever, sometimes or you don't even think about it. Like how is this
Right.
me in my scrap room? I mean, yes, telling the stories, but besides that, it really does influence like how rules are and stuff. And
Mhm.
we've become a lot laxer on rules as a
Mhm.
society, or the rules that we're following other rules now. So anyway,
Right. Yeah.
okay, so as we finish up, because we have to finish up because lovely Megan is on her lunch,
I have to go back to work.
but my morning coffee time to now. Because Hannah is enjoying her last day before her kids come back.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see. There was a couple of other things that I wanted to kind of finish. Okay, so what do you do to help create a space where you don't feel like you have to put all these rules on yourself? You don't have to be as perfect. Like, what are some things that you do, and we'll finish with this, that help you give yourself permission? Um, bef- so like start with that before, because you were saying how it's usually before. So
Yeah.
what do you do before you scrapbook to help prepare yourself so that you don't have as much weight on you when you get to your desk? What have you been doing?
Um, I think one of the biggest things is like, and I don't, my life has changed so much over the last few years. Like, I used to just scrapbook all the time,
Yeah.
or I was in my room all the time. And
Yeah.
my life has become more family focused now. And so I think one of the biggest things I do is communicate with my wife.
Mm,
Like, hey, I really want to scrapbook tonight. Like, can you help me?
yeah.
Like, yeah, like, and it's not really like I need her to push me to do it, but it's just like she kind of then is thinking, okay, so I'm gonna do dinner instead of, Megan, or, whatever. Like, so she's gonna kind of take over that parenting role. So then I can kind of shift my focus, like after work, I can kind of get changed. We can, start making dinner together or whatever. And then I can kind of like I feel like I have to get myself ready to scrapbook now,
Mm,
like, and I don't know if it's that perfectionism or it's just like I have to get my mindset out of that mom mode,
yeah.
like, and I'm not like I'm used to having kids around all the time, but it's like they're different now, like different stages and everything. So it's like I'm going back to being more hands-on now, whereas I was hands off with my teenagers, and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of have to shift out of that mom mentality, at least me, and like, okay, I'm going to be creative Megan now, like,
Yeah.
and get into that persona, which it's just so weird because I never did that before, like when it was my kids and my kids were growing up and
Well, and you
everything.
weren't to even like show the difference. You weren't doing videos back then when
Yeah, that's
kids were
and
really
that's true.
little. So
Yeah,
how you scrapbooked was probably even different than how it was when your kids started to get a little bit older and you were, I mean, I know Tinian
that
was
is
younger,
true. Yeah,
um, but really that time when you were doing videos, when you started doing videos, was a whole lot. Your kids were a little bit
yeah,
older,
they
maybe
were.
closer to like what the twins would be. I'm trying to think how old Tinian was.
I want to say Tinian was like 4.
4 or 5. That
Maybe 5, yeah, probably around 5 when I started YouTube.
so
So
around.
yeah, about the twins' age. Yeah,
But you had already set up a routine with them. You had
right.
already had a different routine with scrapbooking. It looked a lot different. Well, and don't forget, you did a lot of digital scrapbooking when they were really little.
Yeah,
So that gave you time when they were taking naps or whatever
that
to
is
like
true. And I was home too. That was
Yeah.
the biggest difference is I was a stay-at-home mom until Tinian was 7 or 8
Yeah.
almost. And so I had that time. Whereas now I work a full-time job. I don't get home until it's dark
Mm,
outside, you
yeah.
know? So it's like, then we have to shift into, okay, yeah, it's dinner time. You know, we got to get the kids ready. It's family time. So yeah, like it
Yeah,
is
you
a lot
already were
different.
spending time with the kids because they were home.
Yeah,
You
they
helped
were
them with their
home.
it's not like when they were doing their homework, you were sitting scrapbooking, you helped with
Right.
your homework.
Yeah.
It's like I've been over to your house and I've helped
Yeah.
Tinian with his homework.
Yeah.
And then we would go and, after dinner, we'd go downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get that because I used to do things way different because I also was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And it's like there was a lot of time I spent like in between breaks when the kids were doing school, when they were doing work that I didn't need to help them with. I could get on my phone. I was getting
Yeah.
up a lot earlier because we had a better routine than we do now. As
Hmm.
far like now we have the teenager homeschool routine. Um,
Yeah.
which is nice and not nice all at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like and I also feel like that lent too, and I don't know if it's just the stage I was in life and all of that. Like I thought about scrapbooking way more than I do now.
Oh
Way
yeah.
more.
Yeah.
It's
All
like
the time.
I would be doing dishes, thinking about, okay, what do I want to do on this layout? What kind of product do I want to use? So it's like almost essentially I was getting myself warmed up, that doing that
Yeah.
foreplay. Wait, we're
Yes.
gonna turn that back into this again.
Yes.
But doing a little bit of foreplay so that
Hmm.
when I got to my desk, I was all primed up,
You were
ready
ready.
for that moment.
Yeah.
And then that payoff was the reward for the perfection, like, the thinking of it all the time.
Yeah.
Um, so that when it was done, I'm like, yeah, it's done, where like now it's like I have to be working
Right.
to do the foreplay. And so
Yeah.
it is a lot different. It is so
It
much
is.
different.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the season that I'm in. And it's like,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to think of like, how do I get to a little bit closer to where I was before, but not all the time.
Right.
Right? Because I still like that separation. It's like I, like you, also spend way more time with I say that. I spent a lot of time with my kids. So like I don't feel bad about I don't feel like I
Right.
didn't spend time about that. But I definitely did spend a lot more time on my phone when the
Hmm.
kids were playing and stuff. Um I just spent a lot more time in my head in scrapbooking
Yeah. Yeah.
where before I wasn't, or now I'm not. And I do enjoy that I'm giving more of my attention
Hmm.
to the kids, and because they need it. They're at that years,
Yeah.
and there's more of that directing and passing that baton on. So like I have to be more present.
Hmm.
Not to say that I wasn't present before, but it just
It's
changed.
just
Like the
different.
type of and it's a lot more mental now. That like when they're
Yeah.
kids, you could say no 2 times and then they get it. And if you like teenagers, no, it takes a lot more. So you have to like,
Yes.
and not that like I'm fighting with my kids all the time or anything like that, but
Right.
like they have personalities. They're trying to figure out who they want to be. And
Right.
I am the parent, and so it's like
Yeah.
there's a lot of like that kind of stuff that like of figuring out how to like blend the two, and I'm still working on it, and I still work, but I'm hoping to get to where I don't have to work at some point, just because I think it would be better for my health, but
Right.
I'm not there yet. So it's like, how do I get it's like there's so many different elements that I'm thinking about now that I wasn't thinking about before. And I think,
Right.
like, for me, that's what's created. And I don't have the answers. Like I cannot tell you I have answers, because I thought I had some stuff figured out last year, and then
Yeah.
later in the year kind of threw some stuff for me. And so now I'm like, okay, how do I do it? And I'm just each week I'm like, okay, let me tweak this. This is kind of what I want to do, but I haven't gotten it.
Right.
And I just have some things in mind, and it's like I'm just going with the flow
Yeah.
/ making a couple of changes, because I also know that like things could change like that, you know, like last
Yeah.
year, right? I did a lot. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like, but also trying to be consistent. And I think that is the one thing that that I've wanted and I'm working on, is being a little bit more consistent in here. Like,
Right.
being consistent about actually creating, being consistent about actually editing photos, being consistent about
Yeah.
actually posting videos. Cause like, and some weeks I do better at certain things than other weeks. And that's just gonna how it's gonna be until I get that good routine, and I don't have it yet, and that's okay. I think
Yeah.
I think also being okay with not being where you're at is maybe the best advice I can give people, is like, just be okay with where you're at. And I know we've talked a lot about this last year, is just being okay with where you are at.
Yep.
But really being okay where you're at, and just make those small changes. But don't, like, it's okay if it's not perfect for
Yep.
you. It's okay if it's not perfect for your family. It's okay if it's not perfect for the community, because eventually you're going to get there, you know?
Yep. Yep.
It's like, just make the small changes.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and this year, like, I'm also trying to give myself grace, because there's a lot of areas in my life that, like, I want to improve,
Yeah.
and it's hard though, because I mean, we live in a really hard time,
Yeah.
in America, I guess right now. It's very heavy and emotional, and so that also, I feel like, is playing into a lot of things. So
Well, 'cause
sometimes, even if
yeah.
I want to create, it's like, oh, I don't know if I can. Like, today just feels heavy, like,
Yeah. And some days we have to, like, um, we have to focus on, give ourselves space to like feel these things. And I totally
yes,
get that. Like, and it's interesting, because in the past I've used scrapbooking as that thing to like get over those feelings, where
right,
like this is a time, especially with, and I will say I've noticed this since the pandemic. So I think it does have a lot to do with personal, like, some of the things that are going on in our country, and in our lives, don't they affect me indirectly, like people that I know maybe, but not
right,
necessarily me, right?
right.
So it's like I'm trying to figure out how I relate to this, and how do I be the best for other people around me, and where before it was like this was happening to me, you know, like the
Yeah,
things that are directly affecting me, I needed that outlet, where now it's like I'm taking a lot more time to figure out how I can affect other people,
yeah,
as opposed to how can I lower my stress with this. And so maybe it's not the right way to go about it. Maybe we still need to be channeling it. But for whatever
right.
reason, yeah, like, it's taking that more of that time for um for myself to decompress and kind of sift through these ideas. Well, and it's hard because especially now we have social media, and I think we've seen this a lot with the pandemic too. And I think this is hard, is like other people are trying to tell you how to feel, when it's like, but
Right.
I'm not going through the same situation maybe that
Yeah.
you. And so it's like, so it's figuring out how I feel in relation to other people, and should like, eh, how do I navigate that? And that does
Yeah.
take a lot of space, because then, like, when you're going through heavy things, it's hard to just switch that off so that you can go
Yeah.
put the
It
paper
is.
and paint on a page, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it
But
is.
it is
Mm.
possible. And I think you just have to give yourself space, and then you have to
Yeah.
allow you have and I think this is where like art journaling and stuff really can be more productive, is have
Yeah.
a space to do that, to get out some of that before you start. And I don't know, it
That's
would
a
look different
really
for
good
everybody,
idea.
but wouldn't it be kind of cool if you could start your day, give yourself 5 minutes to just
Yeah.
play with some paint, 10 minutes. I don't know, it depends on how
Yeah.
much time you have to scrap.
Right.
You started off with just opening an art journal page, art stuff. You just work some of that shit out
Yeah.
and then start, I
Yeah.
wonder how that would look if we did that, as a community.
Yeah.
to
That's a really good,
declutter
I
our
think.
heads, because for
Yeah.
some people it's the things that are directly affecting them, stuff with their kids, stuff with their families, stuff
Right.
with their neighbors. I don't know, all these things. And
Yeah.
so sometimes you just gotta work through that and then move on.
Well, and that reminds me, a couple of weeks ago, I went to therapy with Ashley, and we're having some teenage issues with our teenagers right now. And I think I said something like, I just want to scribble on some paper and that will help me feel better. And so my therapist grabbed a piece of paper and gave me some, pens, and I just scribbled on the paper, and it honestly felt so much better. Like,
Yeah.
I just scribbled, because she was like, well, how are you feeling right now? And I'm just like, I just chaos, just crazy, like all over the place. And she was like, sometimes she'll ask me, like, do you want to draw how you feel? And I was like, yes, that night I wanted to, and it made me feel so much better. And so it's just like, maybe I do need to start implementing that before I scrapbook. Like, maybe that would help me process my day,
Mhm.
and just be able to be like, oh, I feel better now, I can do
Yeah.
this,
Well,
like,
and
that's a really good
especially when
idea.
you're the things that you're scrapbooking, like if the things that are affecting you in life, um, and then you're scrapbooking those things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially when I think about this with teenagers, but I also think about it like when Lonnie was going through cancer, right? It was when I started scrapbooking. The
Yeah.
majority of the photos that I took were close-up photos. And I can tell you exactly, I did not want to see the big picture. I didn't want to see the big picture. I had to narrow in to that macro space of where I was just focusing on the smiles, it's focusing on the laughter, the giggles, those things, the things that that mochi that I ate, I just think of like these little moments of where I was savoring these little moments, right? And so it's like sometimes when we scrapbook, we have to find a way to juggle the chaos and find a view that works for us now, so we're separating ourselves, right? Because it's like when you're
Right.
going through a hard time with your teenager or somebody, and let's say you're scrapbooking those moments, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to portray something that maybe isn't the full picture, right? But you have
Yeah.
to be happy with that. And
Yeah.
how do you do that? Through the view of what you're doing.
No,
Right.
that's a
So
very
that's where
good
sometimes
point.
scribbling,
Yeah.
getting that chaos out. I don't know. It could look different for everybody.
Oh,
And not
yeah.
and not everybody is in the place where that stuff is affecting them. And and
Yep.
we all have times like that where it's like, oh,
The
this part of
crazy.
my life isn't affecting, but this
Yeah.
part is, so it's
Right.
just finding out what works for each person, and so what
Yeah.
works for you. But this is why I love when we have these conversations, and I guess this is how we should end, because I know you have to go back to
Yes, I
work in a
do
minute.
have to go back to
But
work.
is listening to how other people do things really helps you figure out, is that going to work for me or not? And you could try it,
Right.
maybe it's not going to work, but then you find a way that doesn't work, or you found a way that does work. So
Yeah.
I love when we have these conversations, because we can really see how each person thinks,
Yeah.
and kind of figure, it just helps us narrow in down how we can do things, or how we can be thankful of that we found a way that works for us.
Right. Yeah.
So, and
I
celebrate
think
what
it's great.
for someone else.
Right. Yeah. Well, so why don't we ask people to share with us what's something that you do to get ready to scrapbook?
Okay. I love
Like,
that.
what helps you, whether
Be
it's,
prepared.
yeah, like taking 10 minutes of quiet time by yourself, or, like, whatever.
Mhm.
What helps you get ready to enjoy your scrapbook space and
Yeah,
time? Yeah,
I love it.
I love
Okay.
that.
So we will see you guys next week.
Yep. See
Not
you
sure what
next
we're
week.
going to talk about. If you guys have any suggestions, feel free to add it to the comments. message us, whatever.
Yeah.
And don't forget the call is still going on.
Yes.
And yeah, and if you guys want to share your work, we have a Facebook page. You can find all that information in the info box down below. I have the link for the Facebook group, our Facebook group. I really would love to get that going a little bit more this year. I know Miranda's been a beast and she's sharing a ton of stuff in
Is
it. I
she?
love it.
That's
I love it when
awesome.
people share stuff in there. I might not
Yeah.
always have a chance to like get in there. So that's one of my goals, is to get in there a little bit more and like comment and like more people's stuff on quicker, but
Yeah.
we're getting there. But and that's one of the things that we'll focus on when we have the team too, is having more
Yes.
people be active in there, because we have like 800 or something people in that
That's
group. So I would
awesome.
love to see it kind of pop up on people's feeds, but we got to get active and
Yeah.
stuff. And so I think not to say it replaces any of the other groups, because I love those. They all
Oh,
have
yeah.
their purpose, but I really want a place where we can maybe talk about these kinds of things more. We can also share what we're doing, you know, in pictures and what we're creating and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So
Awesome.
anyway, I will see you next week, Megan. See you guys next week.
Bye.
And I hope you guys have a great scrappy week. Bye.